So today we're looking at the Cobra Elite V2 from Falendorn. It's a VR gunstock and it's got some unique design features that we're going to take a bit of a look at. Let's start with probably the most unique feature on the gunstock, and that's this combination on the foregrip area here. So what this allows you to do is to grip into the front of the gunstock there, and as you do so you're grabbing the grip button on the controller, and it feels more realistically like you're grabbing the fore part of the gun. So the second part of that is that you can actually adjust where that foregrip sits by unscrewing here and allowing it to just move out to various stop positions under the bottom there. And what you can also do, because it's spring loaded, is that you can leave that section, you can leave that unlocked, and you can actually use it as a pump action shotgun element, and that's pretty unique. Well, I think it is the most unique thing out there that allows you to do that, simulate that kind of pump action style. We've got some pretty unique styling on there, some nice little touches. You've got Riz rail on there, not that you think you'd put anything on it, but you've got some nice little touches. This fake magazine section is removable if you find that that's getting in your way. Get rid of that completely. Comes with this very lightweight rear, which is adjustable. That's a standard tube, so you can technically put anything on there, but you should keep it kind of under a couple of 100 grams, I think under 200 grams, to make sure you get a nice balance. So that's one of the other main things that's really nice about this gunstock, is that when you lock the rear controller into position, and that's magnetized on the back there, is that it has a really nicely weighted kind of balance, and it sits really nicely there. So some other elements of it, as we've said, it is magnetized at the back, and what that means is that you've got something that effectively attaches to the dominant hand controller. And you can order whichever way round, left or right handed, that you need. You need to make sure that you snap forward with this, because it is specifically designed so there's a little bit more resistance pulling backwards, so you can pull the gun up to your shoulder, and it feels really solid if you do that. So you need to make sure that you're always pushing forward to do that release. So what I like about this is that it is very minimalistic, and it does mean that you can sit the controller up on its end. I find that when I'm not using the controllers, I tend to put them both down in front of me on their ends, and with other magnetic gunstock designs, you can sometimes have something that protrudes out of the top of it, that just is a little annoyance, doesn't let you kind of put the stock down properly, put the controller down properly. So let's talk about occlusion. For those of you who don't know what that is, effectively you've got sensors all around the ring on the controller, and that's what the cameras in the headset are using to track its position. So if you were to block that off with anything, you would find that potentially you were blocking some of those sensors with part of the gunstock itself. So what we've got here is we've got some tubes that allow you kind of pretty good visibility through that onto the ring, and I haven't personally looked at this under a camera, so you can see where the sensors are, but Falendorn has got a video that shows kind of the occlusion and where those sensors are, and the fact that with it on there you've got very little occlusion. You've still got some, compared to say a Gunstock that has a bottom mounted controller, bottom mounted grip. Those ones are obviously going to give you zero occlusion, but personally I think one of the main advantages of this type of gun stock for me are that it feels way more realistic, and it gives you way more immersion in the game, or certainly does for me. So what else can we say? It is obviously kind of made to order. You can tell from the sort of 3D printing that, you know, it's done kind of fairly bespokely, and the finish is what you'd kind of expect from that type of 3D production. You can get it set up really well for lots of different games. So if you're playing Pavlov, if you're playing Contractors, or if you're playing Onward, you can get this in a pretty good position. So one thing I would say is that if you are playing Onward, they've got an update hopefully coming out soon, or certainly it's in their roadmap, that will allow configuration of the virtual physical gun stock within the game, so allow you to move the virtual gun around in line with the physical gun stock that you've got available to you. I have found that playing Onward, trying to use some of the sniper rifles, it's very difficult to get this particular gun stock set up in such a way that you can get a good sight picture down. So yeah, that's one of the things I would definitely say is, like, for Onward, it's maybe not the best right now if you're sniping or using any of the kind of marksman class or anything with a sort of decent scope on it. Everything else works really well. So using this with Contractors, where you have already got that ability to adjust for each gun, absolutely spot on. And I found with Pavlov, pretty much 100% of the guns that I tried I could use with some position of this foregrip in place. And actually in a lot of cases you can find a kind of middle ground position, get that set up really nicely, and you don't have to mess around with it too much. And if you really wanted to, if you're playing like Pavlov gun game for example, you could leave that loose and kind of just, you know, hold it in close for something like a P90, or just kind of use the spring. It's not quite the same because you've not got the ability to pull back or put any great deal of pressure on that foregrip, but it does still work. And if you're switching between guns in a single game, you can actually make that work really well. And as for the use on pump action shotguns, as I said earlier, there's nothing better that I've seen on the market for that. It's really good fun. Thanks for watching today. I hope you've had a reasonable idea of what this gun stock is capable of, and why it is fairly unique on the market. I'm going to do some reviews of the Sanlaki and the Pro Tube that I also have, just to give you kind of an idea. Those gun stocks have got some features as well which make them nice, but at the moment this one's kind of my go-to gun stock. Cool. So if you'd like to make sure that you don't miss out on any of those reviews and any of the content that I'm putting together at the moment, please subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to build it up, and you can hit the like button. That tells the algorithm that we should show it to more people, so that's all good.